One Piece is an anime that literally and objectively gets better over time, and the Reverie arc is perfect proof of that. This arc acts like a pressure cooker. There's a really long buildup, it's quiet on the surface, but inside it's boiling with tension that's been simmering for generations. What makes the Reverie arc so special isn't just what it shows us, it's how it shows us and what it doesn't show us. For the first time in this entire long journey that is One Piece, we have a saga completely outside of the point of view of Luffy and the Straw Hats. And in doing so, we realize that as incredible as the Straw Hats journey is, it's just one thread in a web that spans the entire globe. This arc is a celebration of One Piece as a world building masterclass. I mean, for a One Piece arc, it's pretty short. It's barely a handful of episodes. And yet, it reshapes how we see the entire series. We hear names that we haven't heard in hundreds of episodes. As an audience, we see alliances, politics, secrets unfolding in record time. And to all my One Piece fans that were watching on a week-by-week basis as each episode was debuting, seeds sown over a decade ago are starting to bloom at this crazy momentum. Constantly, while watching One Piece, we get reminded how small the sea can actually feel, while giants are moving behind the curtains. I mean, think about this real quick. We've been getting references to the Reverie arc since Fishman Island in the 500s. Now we're finally here, and what do we get? Secret rulers of the world, even more secluded than the Five Elders. Ancient symbols that make present-day targets. Hidden prophecies that even the audience don't know nothing about. And to top it all off, a straw hat. But not just as a hat, but as a legend forged in stone. Alright y'all, we can be honest here. This arc doesn't exactly scream for your attention, but it definitely demands your curiosity. It gives you just enough to ask 1,000 new questions and trust that Oda planted the answer hundreds of episodes ago. So when it ends, we're all left in a frenzy, desperate to move forward, but also wondering, what did we miss by not looking back? We know that Shanks gave his straw hat to Luffy and asked him to return it when Luffy became a better pirate. But who or what passed it down to him? And so forth. In this video, before moving on to Wano, which I am watching now, let's take a second to look back at all of the things that were easily missable. And believe you me, I found a lot of relevant things about Doflamingo, the straw hat that Luffy got from Shanks, Alabasta, and most importantly, the Five Elders. And I gotta reveal this to y'all. Especially all the stuff about Doflamingo. That man was giving out trade secrets like Tom Holland in Prime Marvel days, straight to our faces. Things that we've seen, characters that we walked with and talked about over the span of one of them giant One Piece anime sagas are actually gigantic story pieces fulfilling their roles way before they need to come to fruition. The Reverie is proof that One Piece is not just an anime or a single adventure. It's a living, breathing world where the shortest arcs cast the longest shadows. And that's exactly why One Piece keeps getting better. Not in spite of time, but because of it. And this is an exercise where, I'll be honest, the more mysteries we solve, the 1,000 more theories and questions start to pop up. But what I can guarantee you is that by the end of this video, I'll show y'all how the Reverie video really opens up the rest of the One Piece world, and this thing could get to 2,000 episodes if he really wanted to. And something that I really want to do is to introduce y'all to The Bread Show. Hey, what's up y'all? It's The Bread Show, a place where we give our anime and gaming opinions while doing a little bit of animated and gaming ourselves. And this week, yes, we are talking the Reverie video, the short anime arc that's in between Whole Cake and Wano. And you gotta love these short One Piece arcs. I mean, Romance Dawn, Zoe, and of course the Reverie. They're just all packed with so much, and usually they packed with lore, and the Reverie ain't much different. So please leave a like, and hopefully by the end of this video, I can convince you to hit that subscribe button, especially if you're a One Piece fan, because I got a lot more One Piece on the way. And also leave a comment because y'all are my One Piece community. Now, let's get straight into this with a 30-second summary. In the Reverie arc, the world leaders gather at Mariejois to discuss global issues. The key events of this arc include the Revolutionary Army declaring war on the Celestial Dragons, Princess Shirahoshi being targeted, and this new mysterious world leader that is emerging and targeting Luffy, Blackbeard, Vivi, and Princess Shirahoshi. And at this reverie, major decisions are being made that will for surely impact the Straw Hats, like disbanding the Warlord system. This arc sets the stage for the massive power structure that's about to change. Like we said before, the reverie is the first major arc that totally removes Luffy from the spotlight, but somehow his shadow looms larger than ever, because Luffy has become a symbol without even really trying to. Declare war on the world government. Check. Take down multiple warlords. Check. Free entire countries and build alliances haphazardly. Check. All while wearing the same straw hat that has come to signify freedom for anybody who interacts with it. But that straw hat, that physical hat, has a history. Turns out that straw hat is an artifact of some kind. We used to think that that straw hat was just a gift from Shanks, but turns out, we found out post Marineford, that the straw hat originally belonged to Gold D. Roger, the former king of the pirates. It doesn't really go much into how or why, but Shanks inherited it and gave it to Luffy. This cannot be a coincidence, especially after the things we've seen this arc. I think it's safe to assume that that stone was there a while before Luffy, and turns out the actual hat was as well. The fact that a stone statue exists proves that the hat itself is of significance in more ways than just symbolism. I don't know about y'all, but Goldie Roger and Shanks were some pretty great pirates. So that just raises the question, as silly as it seems, is the actual hat giving Luffy ability? Or maybe the powers of the hat and the powers of the Will of D just came together and made holy matrimony, rhyming accidentally. Is Oda using that hat as a symbol of inherited will? Is it a symbol of prophecy or something ancient and powerful? The world's top rulers fear Luffy, not necessarily because of him or his power or his alliances. There's bigger and badder pirates out there. They fear him because of what he represents. The Will of D, the Straw Hat, the threat that they can't predict. Whatever it is, the elders for sure know, and that's why they hate on him and everybody that interacts with him. Most shows and anime start out their series with the prophecy, and then eventually it comes true as you watch the show. One Piece seems to be ending with a prophecy. Back when the Straw Hats first crossed the Grand Line and entered Alabasta, warlords seemed to be insurmountable obstacles. They were bigger than life itself. But now they seem so small compared to the Grand Elders that control them. And maybe that's why Luffy was never invited to be a warlord. Not because he declared war on the world government back at Enies Lobby, but because he can't be controlled, which makes him the government's #1 op. And then again, even the little bits of freedom that being a warlord would have actually granted him would have only been partial freedom, which I think is worthless to Luffy. But let's take a second to zoom out even further. The bigger this world gets, the smaller we feel. In One Piece, any arc, from the ones you liked to the ones you criticized, may not show you how impactful they really were until years in the future. Every episode and every micro moment that we're watching, as detailed as they seem, relates so well to the macro of the world building. Example, remember when Shanks sat down with Whitebeard back in episode 316? At the time, it felt a little bit ambiguous, but we all understood that it was a pretty big moment. But now looking back on it, we realize that it was monumental, still to this day. As the story goes on, and as Blackbeard becomes more and more of a dominating figure, with no end in sight, mind you, the more impactful this scene was from July 1st, 2007. Blackbeard's infamy has always matched Luffy's heroism as both of their legends grow. I mean, Blackbeard was once a nobody that Shanks had to warn Whitebeard about, and Blackbeard was part of Whitebeard's crew. Hey, old man, how's it going? Turns out, there's a crash out on your squad that gave me this scar on my eye that's getting chased by another crash out right now, and that may be a problem for both of us in the future. Let's handle that. And Whitebeard said no. Nope. And ever since that moment, ever since Whitebeard denied Shanks' advice, Blackbeard has been shifting power in the world at a high enough magnitude, no pun intended, to be targeted by the highest powers in the world. All of these decisions that we thought were just building up story for Marineford, these decisions that each of these characters made in the past, like Whitebeard denying Shanks advice, turned out it changed everything. It's crazy to think about how much the One Piece world would be different if this one conversation went a different way. If Whitebeard had just listened to Shanks, Marineford would have never happened. Ace, Goldie Roger's biological son, would still be alive. Whitebeard would probably have died of old age or sickness. Since Blackbeard never got the chance to actually hand over Ace, he would have never became a warlord, and he also would have never gotten Whitebeard's devil fruit powers. And the only negative that I could think of is that Luffy's growth probably would have been stunted. And if Luffy's growth would have been stunted, so would the Straw Hats' growth have been stunted. And to be honest, everything's changed for them as well. It feels like after Fishman Island, after the Straw Hats finally got to the new world, it's like they graduated from middle school to high school, where their prominence and their importance kind of reset back to the bottom. But now after Whole Cake and Dressrosa, it seems like they're back on top as a senior class. I think it is purposeful that in this arc that serves as almost a celebration of the diversity of the One Piece world, the group with the sole mission to change the world takes center stage. This is what I mean about the Reverie arc demanding your curiosity. We're already curious about Dragon and his relationship with Sabo and his lack of a relationship with Luffy. We saw the Revolutionary Army infiltrate the Reverie, but what didn't we see? Their knowledge of the secrets of the world government obviously run deep, and Robin was there to study a lot of it, but their level of knowledge leaves me in a weird spot. It seems like they know just enough to infiltrate Mariejois during the Reverie, which seems like a pretty big deal, but they don't have enough info to rescue Kuma, or whatever's left of him, or execute an actually discreet extraction plan. But still, even with all that, I don't 100% buy that they lost their base to Blackbeard off-screen. All of that off-screen stuff is just One Piece code for something bigger is coming. This arc confirms that a storm is coming, and it seems like the revolutionaries are preparing in silence. Off-screen battles, especially the ones involving Blackbeard, always mean something huge. Canaries in the coal mine. Remember how Ace versus Blackbeard ended? No, you don't, because it was off-screen, and that changed the whole world. No exaggeration. Blackbeard may be a ruthless tyrant, yes, but by this point, he's proven he's not dumb. He for surely has a plan cooking up, and it might already be in motion. While 2 of the other 4 emperors are being occupied with a potential 5th, Blackbeard is on the move. And speaking of Blackbeard, Whitebeard's illegitimate son, I like to call him Phony Whitebeard, I feel like is getting the Blackbeard pre-Marineford treatment. He gets random cutaway scenes at random moments, and you can see him on like the back of newspapers and stuff when they're reading other information. I've gotten so used to Oda foreshadowing a whole bunch of stuff, and I know he is going to play a huge role, more than just like one saga or something in the future. I have no clue what, but I know he will appear big in the future. And speaking of eerie foreshadowing, let's go through the wanted posters we've seen at the end of the arc. We saw Luffy, Blackbeard, Vivi, and Shirahoshi. When I first saw those 4 wanted posters, I immediately thought to myself, this is the most random assortment of characters I've ever seen. Literal main characters' names out of a hat. No pun intended. When researching for this video, I struggled to find the one quality that connected all 4 of them, and this is what I got, as simple as it sounds. They are all threats to the world government for one reason. Not because they're evil, but because they're all symbolizing freedom, which automatically makes them the government's most wanted. All 4 of them are wild cards in the government's plan for control. I think that they fear King Cobra and Princess Vivi in Alabasta because they don't feel like they'll go along with the government's plans just like their ancestors did. The government obviously knows about the ancient secret weapons. That's why they send Cypher Pole out like lapdogs to go find them all. And we know that they know that Alabasta has the secret to these secret weapons. And to be honest with you, I think that my favorite Straw Hat, Robin, probably knows about, or at least suspects about, the things going on in Alabasta, and that's why we found her in Alabasta originally. Here are the specific reasons why each of the 4 people on the wanted posters are threats. Luffy declared war on the world government, and he's got motion now, not to mention all the stunts he pulled in Marineford. And just as a cherry on top, he picks warlords off one at a time and even alliances himself with some of them. Now, Blackbeard is an interesting one because he has the natural ability to possess 2 different devil fruits, and somehow he knew that before taking Whitebeard's. And not to mention, he completely abused the warlord system to get what he wanted and never even put in the work as a warlord. Shirahoshi is obviously the ancient weapon, and Princess Vivi because Alabasta defected all those years ago, and she has the secrets to ancient weaponry. Both points I personally believe are related to each other. But the real mystery to me is why isn't Doflamingo's name on that assassination list? If I was the world government, those would be the first dog tags I'm collecting. Are you kidding me? Doflamingo may be in prison, but he's not tripping. He's locked up doing his time, no snitching, and much respect to him because he definitely could snitch. But I don't think it's because he's solid and 10 toes down. I just think he knows too much. The national treasure of Mariejois, if exposed, would cause chaos beyond imagination. Direct quote from Doflamingo after he captured Law in episode 703. That man could no lie walk out of that prison with the amount of extortion that he could pull. In that quote I read earlier, he's almost admitting to blackmail. Back in episode 703, Doflamingo was actually targeting Law for his devil fruit because he felt that his devil fruit could make full use of whatever this treasure was. By the way, Law is a surgeon, so whatever this treasure is, it's most likely a person or other living organism that he needs to perform surgery on, I would think. And that's not even Doflamingo's most ominous quote. Trust me, I got more. Who will win? The Celestial Dragons, the pirates, the revolutionaries, the navy, or perhaps the gods? He's predicting a power struggle to decide who will rule the world. Also, by the way, Mr. Mingo, I think I should ask this question. Who are the gods? And why'd you separate the Navy from the Celestial Dragons? He's not bluffing. He's not maniacally laughing to get let off on claiming insanity. He's been a Celestial Dragon. He's seen the rot at the top. And every time he speaks, it's like a prophecy of collapse. But who's the one collapsing? He openly questions the ideas of justice. He predicted that the world would turn upside down, more upside down than it already is. And back in Dressrosa, he had enough power to use Cypher Pole like his own personal cleanup crew. Doflamingo ain't just a villain. He's the mouthpiece for the Holy Land secrets and One Piece's secrets. And when the world finally starts unraveling, we can't be surprised because he told us all in advance. Doflamingo is a narrative bridge between the pirate world and the rotten heart of the world government. His quotes plant the seeds for everything the Reverie and later arcs explore in greater depth. But let's take it back even further. Remember back in Romance Dawn, yes, the first 3 episodes of One Piece, when they told us the lie that the Navy and Marines were good guys and pirates were unruly scum? We laugh at that lie now. I even called out the Navy for their BS back in Marineford. The government ain't all that good, and murdering the sons of everybody in the village based off namesake doesn't exactly help their case. The 5 elders, the outward leaders of the world government, are making decisions out of fear and desperation. Yeah, sure, they preach balance, but they rule in fear. Make it make sense. And as a matter of fact, every time we seen them, they were shaking in their boots. No, for real though, let's get into this. We first saw them in episode 151, post Alabasta. They're discussing Shanks talking to Whitebeard and the balance of power between the Marines, Warlords, and Emperors. Water 7 arc. They're scared about CP9's failure at Enies Lobby and the loss of Nico Robin. We see him again in the post Marineford arc, scared about the new power vacuum and who might try to take advantage of it now that Whitebeard's dead. We see him again in episode 511 after the time skip, shaking in their boots over Luffy's tribute to Ace. We see him again in Dressrosa, scared of Doflamingo and using Fujitora to spy on him. We see him again in episode 777 in between Zoe and Whole Cake. They're talking about how Luffy defeated Doflamingo and how it disrupted the balance of power again, this time scared of the whole worst generation. And now we see him in the Reverie arc, still ruling based off of fear and desperation. And finally, there's this guy. Get a load of this guy, the man who sits on the empty throne that was just explained to us not even 5 minutes ago. You know, the one that no king should sit upon, but somehow he's got his cheeks on it. This guy is looking at all the hidden wanted posters like a hidden mob boss and chooses who he wants to knock off. We don't know his name or his role for that matter, but there is one thing that I truly believe in my bones. A theory, one might say. He's not new. There's no way he's a new character. Oda foreshadows too much, too often, for too long for One Piece to just drop a new character of that importance on our heads. I believe that this figure has been hiding in plain sight. I mean, just look at all the foreshadowing Whitebeard and Shanks have gotten. They barely in the show. I don't know, maybe this is Enel, a relative Enel, maybe it's Goldie Roger himself. I don't know, but when the day comes to reveal that guy under the mask, I think we'll be able to tell who that is. Even if my one-off theory about him being Goldie Roger is totally wrong, he definitely has something to do with Goldie Roger. If somebody is going for world domination, a man who calls himself King of the Pirates, the most free man, the ruler of the sea, is definitely going to come in contact with a person like that. And Roger, the main thing that Roger has preached, that we've seen from Roger, he preaches freedom up until the point of his death. Most likely due to his connections with this elder character, ultimate king person. Maybe that's what the One Piece really is. Not exactly a treasure, but a way to get a one-up on the government. If that's true, then we need to go back to Sabaody and interrogate Rayleigh because he knows the secrets of the world. The Reverie is a turning point, not about Luffy for once, but about the world that Luffy's about to turn upside down. One Piece is an anime that literally gets better over time because it makes small things, the smallest things, mean so much after a long period of time. In this Reverie arc, we saw how a once 17-year-old boy who questioned his own dream of becoming king of the pirates is now holding the attention of the highest names in the land, and maybe even the gods. This arc is short, but its ripple effects are massive. And just like Luffy's journey, just like the secrets of Mariejois, and just like the Straw Hat itself, sometimes the smallest pieces carry the greatest powers. This Reverie video was so packed with all of my theories and all of the going backs and stuff. This is going to be a fun one. I am watching Wano right now, and hopefully the Wano video is on schedule to come out next week. But before we get to that, I had a lot to say about the Reverie arc for good reason. Thank you all for watching this video. Thank you all for watching this long. If you watched this long, please consider subscribing. Hopefully I convinced you. And I have a whole lot more One Piece videos lined up on the catalog and a whole lot more coming in the future. Please subscribe to the channel. Please subscribe to the Fourth Branch if you want to see group gaming content, IRL content, vlogs, and all that stuff. Have that on the Fourth Branch. Link in the description below. And yeah, check out the streams midday on Saturdays and in the afternoons on Sundays. I gotta get to editing this video, and I gotta get to finishing Wano. Spread love, give inspiration in all you do, and peace out.
Welcome to the Crash Show. Take two.